Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully everybody's having a good Friday. I'm really stoked, honestly, to be doing another live. I haven't done a live in a really long time, so I'm like, this is gonna be super fun today to kind of walk through what we're seeing in the 2025 era, what's coming up in the 2026 era. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I am super stoked. It has been a very interesting Black Friday. I'm sure all of you are like deep in the weeds. This is the reason why I do these on Fridays because I'm like, we just need to take a minute and all of us just need like a second to just breathe a little bit and maybe just like enjoy a really fun, really random kind of presentation from somebody who just built a lot of decks with a lot of cat pictures. So if you're here, thank you for coming. I'm super excited. Chat comments are open. Everything is going to be open for you guys. This is literally just like a fun afternoon that we can just spend together, talking about what's coming up in paid advertising, what happened last year, what's going to happen this year. And today I kind of want to show you guys something I'm working on. It's kind of a bigger process, a little bit more streamlined, sophisticated creative strategy process that's going to help you build a little bit more sophistication into your creative strategy engine this year so you can build one that's actually going to scale into 2026 and beyond. So thank you for joining me. We are going to dive in here in just a minute. I'm going to give it a few more minutes because I know people are like getting out of lunch and kind of getting back to their desk, those type of things. I would love for you guys to use this comments. Tell me where you're actually kind of viewing from because I have a couple different people here. I'm on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're on LinkedIn today. So comment, tell me which platform are you watching on? Because I'm always trying to double check and see like which one is going to be the best platform to kind of do these lives from here on out. But if you guys are ready, I want to teach you guys how to build a creative engine that scales today. So this is going to be the exact system that I am currently developing, constantly improving, doing a lot of work around. It's the same one that I teach all of these top performing brands how to use just so that they can make their creative a little bit more predictable. So let's dive into this. First, if you guys don't know who I am, if this is the first time you're seeing me on your screen, I'm Sarah Levenger. I'm a D2C consultant. I'm a behavior strategist, and I am obsessed with psychology. If you guys seen my content, if you've ever watched me before, you know behavior science, psychology. I am all about it. I started actually in the industry in 2018 running lead gen ads. So I wasn't in ecom always. I was actually running lead gen ads for a small hotel in Jackson Hole. And it was a very simple setup at the time because it was early. It was very like kind of money in, money out kind of a thing. And I thought I was pretty good at this game. So I got into ecom around 2019, and that was like right before COVID hit. So overnight, I went from like really big into lead gen campaigns straight over into high performance, like just driving, straight dollars. And then everything collapsed. All the campaigns froze. We went from like super, super confident that everything was going to work, just money in, money out, to completely lost entirely. Oh, hi, everybody. I'm so glad you're watching on LinkedIn. Okay. After that, after I went through this kind of period of like COVID trying to figure out what happened and like what we we're supposed to be doing, I joined a small agency in 2021, really just hoping to kind of steady the ship a little bit and like continue my skill set. Right as I did that, iOS 14 dropped. So I had like two things happen, and I'm sure all of you can attest to the same. It just like all of a sudden everything completely disintegrated. All of our tracking broke. Nothing was working. We had no retargeting. It was just like wandering around in the dark, basically. And I remember sitting in Ads Manager at like 10 p.m., refreshing my dashboards over and over and over every 30 seconds, just trying to figure out what I was supposed to do to get this needle to move because we just couldn't get anything to hit. And that kind of like pit in your stomach kind of feeling where it's like, I don't even know if I'm good at this anymore. That was literally my every single night. And I was getting so incredibly frustrated. Clients started to panic at this point in time. So on top of feeling that like, I don't even know if this is the right thing to do, my boss was panicking. I was panicking. Honestly, like everybody in here was just like, what are we supposed to do if we don't have retargeting, right? Because every ad kind of just felt like throwing darts in the dark. So we tried new hooks and we kind of rode the UGC wave. Nothing seemed to stick though. And as we progressed forward into like 2021, 2022, I realized that like all marketers were kind of hitting the same wall. It's not that we were doing anything wrong. It was just like the game changed literally overnight and we couldn't market the same way that we had always marketed before. And I'm so interested to hear, and you guys comment if you feel this. Have you been testing nonstop like this? Are you guys like watching just one ad tank in the ad account while another random one takes off? Like this experience seems to be pretty global and universal where it's like I am trying literally everything I can think of and nothing is working. We're tweaking and testing and spending and like deep down we kind of know that there's got to be a pattern to this chaos, but it's just too hard to see it, right? That kind of a moment is where we were in this like creative free fall. That's where this whole entire system was born. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover why most ads actually failed in 2025 and what this means for 2026. We are also going to cover the reason why people buy today and why even with an economic downturn, they're still going to buy tomorrow. I'll show you guys a little bit about that. And then we're going to walk through this new system that I'm building. This is a 4-step process. It doesn't take that much effort, honestly. It's going to fix this kind of like creative chaos that we've been experiencing and fix it for good. Because at this point, Sarah's just tired of guessing. And I want all of you guys to realize that there is so many good ways to use AI and automations and really just getting a system in place to get you to where you want to go, which is consistency, right? A little less stress. So to start, I've read a lot of stats recently that talk about the fact that in 2025, in the current like paid advertising ecosystem, about 90% of the ads that we run as paid advertisers aren't even seen. Now, this doesn't mean that they're skipped by people. That's also a problem. But I'm talking about 90% of the ads that we actually put into Meta are not seen by the brain. Like the brain is completely filtering it out. I think in 2025, people's brains are starting to filter out the noise more than ever, especially with like the introduction of like AI and generative content. People are kind of actively training themselves to ignore what I would call sameness, right? Sameness in particular, out of pure cognitive defense. If every single brand on the planet uses the AIDA framework, and for those of you who don't know, AIDA is like attention, interest, desire, action, right? If you're using the same, like I woke up this morning and I really hate this, and then I found this product, and here's some social proof, and here's the product, and there's the CTA. If you're using that same structure for your ads, just know everyone else in this room is as well, regardless of the brand. This kind of sameness when it comes to ads is the reason that we're in this kind of battle for clicks because we've never really asked for permission from our customer's brain if we could get their attention. And this is where it's going to be kind of critical, especially going into 2026. The ad world, as I see it, is kind of splitting into two camps right now. So on one side, we have this kind of like output era, right? So volume-based game where we're just flooding the feed with as many different ads as we possibly can. It's just infinite and it's just content at scale, right? This is a difficult part, I think, of being in paid advertising because this particular system causes more brains to ignore. It's not really helping us generate better outcomes from the actual ads that we're creating. It's just making it so that people ignore us way worse. On the opposite side, I'm seeing a lot of brands that are starting to shift more into this like precision focused marketing style where we're running a little bit more of this like emotional truth inside our ads. And we're helping the brain to kind of like filter through all this noise and actually pay attention to the things that is most important. So in 2026, because we have these two camps, I really truly believe that success is going to come from not necessarily how many ads you make, but really from how deeply you can understand and apply the human aspect of your ads, right? So this means that I think teams are going to start to actually train their models not necessarily to replace their team members, but to see things in a very different way. And this is kind of what I want to go into today. So just as like a high level, I don't believe that the volume game is going to continue to work. And this is like based on all of the stuff we're seeing out of Andromeda and Meta is kind of backing this up as well. Volume is kind of going to die. Precision is going to come in a lot heavier this year. So as a strategist, going back to kind of my original story, I needed kind of a solution to this. And obviously it morphs and morphs and morphs as we go. I needed a solution though, and I really needed it fast because I had clients who were just like, hey, can you get us any performance? This was back in 2022, but it did ride into 23, 24, 25. And it felt like I was still kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, but I was starting to kind of generate my own process for figuring out how do I go from just throwing everything to only throwing very specific things. So at first, I was gathering all this data, right? I was trying to pull down customer insights, customer interviews, post-purchase surveys, emails, comments, all these different things, because I was trying to understand a little bit of why people were actually purchasing, But what I didn't realize is it's much more important to figure out what they feel about that purchase. Right? So, and I'm sure that some of you have felt this too, that you're missing something, right? It's like I understand why people are purchasing sort of, but I don't quite understand what's driving that desire, right? So, what I was trying to do was trying to figure out that core piece of it. What was actually driving them emotionally? So, in that kind of pile of chaos, I stumbled on something a little bit strange. I kept doing the same process over and over. So, when I would go to generate these very specific precision focused ads, I kept pulling reviews and comments. And I would always put them into a giant spreadsheet first. And this was just a part of my process because I felt like I had no other choice, really. I needed more insights and I needed to figure out which ones were going to hit in the ad account. So I put them in a spreadsheet and then I would actually tag them with the underlying emotions that I could see within the insights. So, for instance, if I went to a social post and I pulled down all of these comments, I would go one at a time and I would tag each one with the emotions that I could at least somewhat see in here, right? And after pulling all of these comments out, I would always sit there and run an analysis on them to figure out which emotions were coming out the strongest. Now, I didn't realize I was doing this time. This is a process called natural language processing. So they have an actual term for it. But I spent a few weeks kind of developing a system around this so I could duplicate it for every brand that I was working with within this agency. So I was using my giant spreadsheet of tagging comments to filter down to the core beliefs, right? The thing that was driving actual all of these different behaviors. I was trying to figure out what's at the core of these humans so that I could figure out avatars, understand angles, get better messages, and build better ads. And I would track it across the TAM. So I would have like 8 different spreadsheets of all this different data. Now, the interesting part about this is once you start filtering this way, and once you start actually having a system around your insight acquisition, you can start to see patterns of emotions coming out inside your data. And this is kind of where I started to like pull this strategy together. So I took this strategy of pulling down all this data, tagging every single one with all these different emotions, and I applied it to my very first brand. This brand was for $1 billion beauty. It only took 4 days for the first round of ads that were built off of this system to hit. We saw a 40% decrease in CPA just off of just a few ads that were tagged with these specific emotional tags. So that was the first brand. The next brand that I ran this for, I tested it for a brand in the garden space, and they saw a 93% increase in ROI within just 2 weeks, and that was from this ad right in the middle here. That was the Grow Together ad. So again, same exact system, pulling down insights, tagging every single thing with an emotion, pulling that data into one specific ad, and then running it. That was basically the whole system, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in just a second. The last brand that I did this for before I was like, okay, I think this is actually going to work is a brand called Hoplark. They saw a 30% reduction in CAC based upon this Hopheads Unite ad right over here. And again, same exact system. So by the time I got through a couple different brands, I figured out very quickly, this just keeps happening. So I think this system is going to work. I wasn't really inventing anything new. I want you guys to know that. There was really nothing new about this. I was just noticing and systematizing a different section of the creative strategy process. Everybody wants to go towards production. We have massive amounts of systems around briefing, around ads, around static production, around sourcing creators, around getting whitelisting going. We have so much production systems. We have no systems for insights other than just like grab it, stick it into a GPT. So when it came to like building a system to capture those particular emotional patterns, I really tried to focus on the fact that I'm trying to create something that's predictable, right? So this kind of discovery where it was like, I think we have ad production nailed. We need to focus on insights kind of broke my brain a little bit. So I stopped building all of these different creatives just based upon like whatever came into my brain. I started building a little bit more intentionally with this. And then for the first time, I really felt like I had a system that I could give to any brand on the planet and they could see the exact same results. I started consulting and teaching on this particular method. And then I started building tools because at this point I was like, I know the system works. I've seen it worked with, hundreds of brands at this point. And I really want to make sure that everybody gets access to this because this is where it's going in 2026 and beyond. So that's kind of the backstory that led to the system. And I'm going to teach you exactly how it works step by step so you guys can see this broke down. We're going to start with a little bit of like the neurological chain that happens in the background when it comes to purchases. And I think this is pretty important. So, very first, at the core of humans is belief at the very, very center. This is what people really base all of their behaviors off of. What you believe shapes what you feel, right? What you believe about life, about people around you, about the environments you're in, what you believe about products, about brands, about your job, about the world. What you believe really does build what you feel on a daily basis. What you feel then also shapes what you do, how you behave, right? So at the core, we're just kind of going out and out and out. What you do, all the behaviors that you have in the world and the things that you're trying to achieve based upon your feelings and based upon your beliefs, then affect what you buy. So this is how humans actually make decisions. They start with their core beliefs. It builds into a feeling. That feeling causes them to do things in the world, and it also causes them to purchase. This is pretty critical to understand, because if you don't understand this, if you're only going to watch the behaviors of what they do and try and push into behavior, you're kind of missing all of the underneath things, the core things that are driving it. So I want you guys to kind of think about the last time that you bought something that kind of made no logical sense, right? It could be like a candle or like another tool or like a coffee mug, whatever it is. Things that you just didn't buy for specs, right? You bought it just because in the moment it felt like something calm, cozy. Maybe it felt like, oh, this is a smart decision. Whatever mattered most to you was happening in the environment and the exact moment that you were in, right? And you could even, if you guys want to, drop an emoji of whatever it is that you bought. I can remember the last thing I bought was a houseplant. And I don't need any more houseplants, but I bought one anyways, because in the moment it was like, oh, I would love something nice for my office. It's not a logical purchase. It's literally just something for me to have. And I purchased it just based upon in the moment. I felt like this was something that was core to me. Now, there was all these underlying processes that led to that particular behavior. But at the core of it, it's something about what I believed that was causing all of this, right? Getting down to that belief can help us with getting people to the purchase faster, especially in the paid advertising ecosystem. So this is the creative engine that's built on this process. If we understand that beliefs lead to feelings, feelings lead to doing or behavior, and behavior leads to purchasing things, then we need an engine that's going to capitalize on what's underneath all of those. So emotional patterns exist just like behavioral ones do, right? So we don't really have a good way to track these emotional patterns right now. But if we're going to tap into these emotions and more importantly, just the beliefs that our customers have, we got to have a system that can handle that type of work. And this is, again, way before you get into production. We got to have a system that can take the insights we know, the things that are really important to our customers, break them down to the tiniest pieces so that we can understand what's going to cause this person to buy. Very, very important. So most brands already have mountains of data, right? You guys already have surveys you're going through. You have emails, you have reviews, but it's kind of scattered all over the place, right? So you have some in GPTs, some of them are in Notion. There's a lot of them in Google Docs. Maybe some are sticky notes all over your desk. It's interesting because this amount of data that we have is almost overwhelming. Our brains can't pick out patterns with this amount of data. And even the AI can't, AI tools cannot make sense of all of this, mostly because the GPTs just kind of regurgitate whatever it is that they think you want to hear, right? Which causes all of your headlines to kind of sound like Mr. Chat, right? It doesn't matter whether it's in a GPT that can do all the analysis on that or not. If you can't actually pull out patterns in a very distinct way from real-time insights from your customers, you're just going to regurgitate the same messaging over and over and over. And this is the reason why I kind of needed like a little bit of a better system, one that can read emotion in real time and not just like tell me what I want to hear, if that makes sense. So we're going to get into the system. This system only has 4 steps, right? So it's pretty simple. And it takes all that kind of messy data that we have stored all over the place and all the things that's like we're sort of analyzing, but we still don't know quite what to do with it. And it turns it into kind of very consistent emotional messages every single time. There's only 4 steps to this. First step is track. Second one is tag. Then we turn and then we learn. So you guys can remember this, right? Track, tag, turn, and learn. That's all you need to start pulling in your insights and actually turning them into messages that are going to scale. So we're going to walk into this. First thing, we need to track what people are really saying in one place. One place, not Notion and a GPT and a Google Doc and sticky notes and our creative strategy. Take all that data you have about your customer and put it in one place. And this is pretty important. Preferably, I'd like you to have real-time insights coming in. not insights that you pulled from the last 6 months, not insights that you saw randomly on a Tuesday in a January and then you try and pull them back out in November. Real time insights. And this is pretty important because if you can get these insights automatically pulled into one space, then you can analyze for trends that are just about to happen emotionally. And you can also analyze for trends that are starting to die, things that you should not be running ads towards. You're already collecting comments, reviews, Reddit threads, all kinds of stuff. But how often are we analyzing for what's changed in all of those, right? What's missing? What's new? We need to be collecting real-time insights and putting them all in one place so that we can study what's changing and filtering on a daily basis. Great example of this and why this is super crazy important. I had a skincare founder that was DMing me the other day and asking kind of about like the system and what she should do. She kept talking about the fact that she didn't think that people really cared about clean ingredients in skincare anymore. And if you work for a skincare brand, you could probably relate to this, where it's like every time we do like clean ingredients or we talk about our ingredients, those ads like sort of hit, but they die really fast, or they don't hit at all, even worse. She thought this because her GPT kept telling her, based upon the last 6 months of reviews, your comments are telling me nobody cares about clean ingredients. Now, this was interesting because I didn't think that was right. I was like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure that we're getting down to the teeniest, tiniest insight here. We need to figure out exactly what people mean when they say they don't care about clean ingredients. So I only spent an hour setting up an automated kind of insight scraper for her so we could kind of see the whole picture. And it turns out her audience, it wasn't that her audience didn't care. They actually cared quite a lot. They just didn't trust. It's very, very different sentiment. They didn't trust the claims that the industry was making, which we would never have found if we would just put like a random data set into chat on like a Tuesday afternoon. We had to pull real-time insights from Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, all these different places to get a very global view of what people were talking about. So that's the first step. Bring all your stuff in, keep it in one spot, right? So that we can start to take a look at trends. Second thing you need to do is tag these. Similar to how I was doing like way back in 2022, where I was tagging all these different emotional tags, we need to tag all of these insights with the emotions that are underneath them and with how people are actually viewing their problem, right? So we can tell which emotions are pulling up the strongest, right? How strong is that emotion? Is it very intense for people, or is it just like kind of intense, right? Are they thinking about the past? Are they thinking about the future? Are they thinking about just right now? Are they seeing their problem in kind of a positive light, like they aspirationally want something, or are they negative and they just want to reduce their risk of feeling pain? Tagging all of your insights that come in, especially if you can tag them automatically, reveals all these beliefs underneath. And that's what we're trying to get to is belief. What do people believe about your product, about your industry, about themselves? The closer you can get to belief, the better your messages will resonate with these people. So for this skincare brand, we knew customers didn't trust the claims that the industry was making, but we didn't know why until we went through and actually tagged all of these insights one by one. Now, obviously, I have a system that does this automatically for you, so you don't have to do it. But manually, you can do this as well, tagging them with the underlying sentiment that's in here. So we tagged that data set with emotional tags, and we saw that 80% of these comments kept coming up with frustration around basically how sensationalized the industry had become. Not products, not shipping. They didn't care about prices either, which I thought was really interesting, especially in like the economic situation that we're all in. It had nothing to do with those type of things. They just didn't like the fact that the entire skincare industry has become really hypey. And we would never have found this had we not done the work to tag these insights with their underlying psychology and looked at the phrases that people were saying and started to kind of make our own global view of what everybody in the industry is saying, right? So your tagging system is kind of like a master interpreter in this game, right? So second thing I need you guys to do, tag, tag, tag. Very, very important. Okay, step 3. We need to turn this insight into an idea. We have to turn it into some sort of an ad that's going to hit this person in the exact right way that we want it to. So, for example, say that we brought in all our insights. We have tagged them with all of the underlying emotions and psychology that we know exist in here. And then we've noticed this trend, right? That people don't really trust the industry. If the most common angle that's coming up really is, I'm just so tired of trying product after product and I can't find anything that works for my skin. And it just feels like all the skincare brands are lying, right? If that's the sentiment that's in here and you try and reply with like, this is our best sale ever, get 20% off, you're going to lose them. Immediately lost, right? We need to create messages that are going to fit the emotional profile of this person, not the avatar profile. I want to be very clear about that. We're not trying to create an ad for a demographic or a 25-year-old female who's into skincare. I'm not trying to go after somebody who really wants to reduce her wrinkles or like, doesn't know how to reduce her sunspots, those type of things. Those are important pieces of it. I'm trying to go after an emotional profile of somebody who fits a very distinct pattern of tags. And this is the reason why we tag, right? Because once you have those tags, you know exactly how you're supposed to deliver this message to this person. So something like this ad where it says you can stop switching your skincare now hits her very, very psychologically well because it matches the exact psychological profile that we already know is in here. Is this making sense? Hopefully you guys are understanding. If you can, just drop an emoji for me, any emoji at all, and let me know. Is this making sense? How do you guys feel about this type of stuff? I find this so interesting if you can start moving towards tagging first and building second instead of just going straight to production. You can see a lot better results and at a lot cheaper cost. So the last step in here, and the final step, obviously, is to learn from all of this. When something works, we usually just go straight towards, oh crap, this is great. The ad's working. Let's iterate the crap out of it and try and get more of this. But we don't really know what worked is the problem. So it might take us 57 iterations to understand the psychological profile of ad one, right? So I don't want you to iterate hook or creator or try and just like iterate on things that you think are working. I want you to trace your success back to the insight and the emotional tags that it came from, right? You have this information in here where we can take a look at all the different tags that ad was built from and then go back and build another one. And that's how you find these kind of repeatable winners, right? We trace this particular win, this like you could stop switching your skincare, back to a single set of tags that we knew were going to work again. So we took those and we started building them into different campaigns inside this ad account towards different angles, different like problems, different solutions, those type of things. And it started working again and again and again because it wasn't necessarily the type of message we were running. It was how we were saying it. That's what was working in the ad account. So process here is simple. Very first thing you want to do is track real insights. Bring them all into some sort of an inbox, right? Track them all in one space. Don't let them go. Second thing you want to do is get these insights tagged by the emotion. Is it a weak emotion, an average emotion, a strong emotion? Which one is it? Tag it, tag it, tag it as much as you can. Turn those into your creative ideas, right? So build a production line that's building all these different ads based upon the tagging system. And then you can go through and create your feedback loop. Go back and say, this set of tags worked. Let's make another one. This set of tag worked. Let's make another one. And this is how you build this creative engine that starts to scale on itself. Because we're building based on psychology and what works for the human brain, not just trends or hooks or creators. So I want to show you some of the brands that have recently, actually just this month, started testing this system for me. Misa is a recent client that I've worked with their full creative team. They used to kind of have these like random ideas that they would chase, right? So they had a very similar process that most brands do. Just whatever idea comes into my head that day, we might go look at some reviews, we might go read some emails, and then we'll just like create a bunch of ads, right? Once they started mapping their emotions, though, started tagging, 50% of their ad spend shifted towards ads that were made with this process, right? Because they weren't guessing. So at this point, half of their ad spend is going towards ads that are made with this type of system. Because it's not just about performance at this point. It's more about like understanding what's actually working for their customers and what is going to get them to actually move forward in the purchasing process. Another one that we worked with recently was Original Grain. A lot of you know that I've worked with them for many, many years. They are a fantastic company. They're really interesting because we saw two different customer groups, right? So they had men that were purchasing for themselves, and they also had women that were purchasing from them. So we had two different emotional profiles, two different tag groups, basically. And when we aligned their copy with the emotion of that specific group, AOV rose and LTV rose, and they were able to increase their revenue by 25%. And this was during one of the heaviest sales period of the year for them. They ran less discounts, and they actually had to do a little bit more on the production side because they actually saw that the majority of their ads were hitting faster and they wanted to capitalize on it more. They knew exactly what to run. I can't get enough of this system. And I want you guys to know that it took me so freaking long to figure this out. I've been working on it for basically 5 years straight. So This is an actual system that I have built for you guys if you guys want to test it out. And you can imagine that every insight you've ever had, every customer comment, right, every review is organized into one kind of living map of emotion for every single product you have across your brand, right? So that's kind of the system I wanted, was a living emotional map, and that's kind of what I built. So this is the Tether OS, and it's a system that kind of automates everything that we just talked about for you from start to finish. This particular system tracks emotion in real time, tags all of this automatically, and then it shows you real time pain points, avatars, emotional ranges, and all kinds of other stuff that you can actually take a look at and figure out, what do our customers want most from like their core of themselves, and how do we message that to them? This system is going to tell you both of those things. Because it's a looping system, it gets smarter as you go. So as we track all of these insights, you can start to actually tag these as like this insight one, this insight one, this insight one. All of these emotional tag groups are winning. Let's start to build more ads off of this. So it gets smarter as you go because it's designed to loop on itself. I've set up this system to be basically completely hands-free. So we have a couple different things in here that's just really, really fun. We have up to 7 automated insight connections. So Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of these different connections you can get pulling in real-time insights, right? So you can get all of this tagged and analyzed while you sleep. I don't want you to have to do this work on your own. You should not become a data scientist, and you should not have to become a researcher just to run ads. I'm like, oh, I can't tell you. AI has made it so much easier for us to just do this all automatically. So right now I have 7 connections. We always start with Reddit at the very first one, but if you'd like to get more, you can always get more. Pulls them all in, tags them, analyzes them while you sleep. We also have weekly automated insights. So if you guys want to get these insights really just every single week, so your team can start to build on that, they're going to be right in your inbox. They're also monthly and quarterly options as well. So if you want to take a look at like what happened the entire quarter, what happens every month, we can look at those too. We also have onboarding and support in here. So obviously this is kind of a brand new system. I don't see a whole lot of people that have a tagging system like this. So I want to make sure that you guys get personalized setup. I have an awesome team that I brought on board to help me with this year. And it's all going to be based on your brand's needs. So if you have small team, we only have 3 of us, totally fine. This will work for you. If you have big team, there's 70 of us, totally fine. This will work for you as well. So this particular system, I think also important to note, it doesn't take long to get all these insights in. Because they're automatically scraped, you can see a large batch of insights within 48 hours of setup. So we can start to get ad ideas very, very quickly. And that means obviously just within 2 days, you'll have kind of these very precise emotional data from your audiences across different ecosystems. So you can start to see the differences between what's happening on Reddit and what's happening over on LinkedIn. I can't get enough of the system, and I'm super, super excited. So here's kind of the offer for this particular webinar today. If you click this link, this is literally just going to send you to a booking page. This is Todd. He is my lovely systems builder, sales guy. He is fan-freaking-tastic. And he's going to help you guys kind of understand how this would work for your brand. If it's going to be usable, obviously, for your team size. He's going to answer any questions you have. These are no pressure, because I hate sales and I hate pressure in the system. So it's literally just a walkthrough. You guys can get a demo of this so you can see how you can apply it to your brand and your team size. And it really is for those brands that want to lead with empathy this year and truly believe that we can't rely on volume anymore. If you've ever like sat and looked at your ad account and just thought, I really wish I knew why these ads were working, this is kind of how you solve that this year. So I cannot wait to show you what your audience really feels. These brands that are currently testing this for me are finding some crazy bonkers things with their audience. Stuff that we didn't even know their audience was feeling is coming out of the Tether OS. So if you guys want to, you can screenshot this. I will also add in the bottom of here, I will go ahead and drop the booking link. So if you guys can't screenshot this for any reason at all, you can basically just go to this link and set up a time to chat with Todd. After this, I am going to have a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions like how it works or anything you want to take a look at like very specifically, but I always have FAQs come up. So I want to make sure that we address these just in case you guys have these questions so far. Some of you might be thinking, we don't have time for another system. And I know that this is such a big issue, especially in 2025 going into 26. It is hard to make sure that you are not splitting your time and your focus to things that are not going to move the needle for you. And that's the reason why I'm like so keen on this year, because I know that myself as a founder, I have a teeny tiny team of 3 people. It is hard to make sure that we're not getting things that we don't need. This is a very, very important question because I've actually built this system to be automated to solve for this, right? So the TetherOS runs automatically. Like I said, you don't have to touch it. You don't have to do anything with it. It just goes and pulls these insights real time from all these different places for you. It only takes about, from what I've seen from the brands that are testing it, 2.5-ish hours of monitoring a week instead of 2.5 hours a day for your creative strategist. Really only takes a couple hours a week. I have some brands who are like, we're in there, a couple times, 3 to 4 times a week, just to take a look at what ads we want to run. And then we go back to scaling the brand. It can be run by anybody, senior or junior strategist. It can be run by your media buyer. It can be used by your CMO, whoever you've got. This system can work for them because we've made it so you don't have to touch literally anything at all to use it. Second FIQ I usually get is we already know our customer, which I have such a love-hate relationship with this because I'm like, oh, do you though? Okay, so you can know your customer, I think, mentally. Knowing them by heart, though, is a totally different thing, right? With the TetherOS, this is going to show you obviously real-time emotional insights. So you can start to see, we graph this using bar charts, line charts, all kinds of different things for you in the dashboards. So you can start to see all of a sudden this emotion is dropping. Now we need to shift our ads because the emotion is dropping, right? It decodes these beliefs behind these kind of behaviors in here because we're bringing in so many different insights from all these different, like, very differentiated places that we can start to see a way wider view of our customer, not so close into what we usually get. It also learns over time. It learns over time. So as long as you go back and mark the insights that are working, it will say to itself, okay, this insight, all of these are working. We need to start to put more effort over here or over here or over here. There's no input really required from you guys unless you want to be more involved in the actual briefing production process. But for the most part, this is not about knowing your customer. This is about knowing your customer. And that's kind of the difference here. Another question that we usually get is, will this actually work for our brand? And I get this question a lot because some people are like, well, we're in B2B, right? Or we're in SaaS. We are not in e-com. Like, is this going to work for us? This works for any industry, any product, because we're analyzing sentiment. I'm not trying to go after just like who's your avatar. That's a part of this process. But in general, this can basically customized for any brand in any industry. We're going after what's the core, what's the emotions that are underneath all of these purchases and all these customer bases. It can also be customized for multiple brands. So if you're an agency, you can take this and customize it for as many brands as you currently have on board. Does not require any babysitting to work. You don't have to babysit it at all. This takes off hours of research time from all of your creative strategists. It also takes off hours of ideation and really just like building time from all of the ads that you're going to create. So I will pause for questions if you guys have any questions. Oh, Colby, thank you. It took me forever to freaking build this. I've been working on it for like 5 straight years. Again, no pressure on these calls. I have the link at the chat if you guys want to book a call with Todd. I've been in the industry long enough. Like I said, I really hate like really intense pitches. All I want to do is see if you guys like it. If you guys want to try it, if it works really well for you, then fantastic. We would love to work with you. But I will say this system is not for everyone. And I always like to end with this because we only really want to work with the brands that are really just brands and teams that are more ready for like a streamlined version of creative strategy, right? You're ready for more sophistication and really want to get to know their customers on the deepest level here, the deepest level that you possibly can. If you're not ready for that, then you might want to wait until your systems are a little bit more robust. But if you do have the capability, the team size, right? You have all of the things in place you need on the production side. You're just struggling with ideation or research. This is the type of tool that's really going to help you take it to the next level this year. So Todd, I didn't have a headshot from you. My systems guy Todd is in here. He's like, my forehead is not that shiny. That's hilarious. I tried. I was going to use your profile picture, Todd, but you had your cute little kid in there, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't add your child if you didn't want me to have him in there. So we have an AI version of Todd today. Any questions? Anything you guys want to go over? Anything you guys want to see? Please drop it in the comments. I would also love to know if you want to drop a comment of like, oh, this system is crazy, or like, oh, this sounds amazing. Feedback is what I need. We are currently in the process of trying to like test this with a bunch of different brands. Yeah, and I can't tell you how interesting it is. So a couple stories while I'm waiting for comments. If you guys have questions, let me scroll up and make sure. Oh, is there any questions in here? Okay. Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so glad. Everybody's here. Okay. So a couple of really interesting stories. For Misa, these guys are so fascinating. Really good team, really good group, really cool brand. It's so fascinating because they were able to basically pull in all of the ads that they were currently using as well and started tagging those. And we found very, very quickly the emotional tag group that they were using was like the opposite of what their customers were really starting to say. So they started seeing this really big trend of security, which I found really interesting. So emotionally, their customers have this big need this year to feel safe. And I think I have a feeling a lot of you guys have an emotional group that's like it really into safety just because of where we are in the economic landscape. But in general, they had a really specific way that they wanted this safety communicated to them. So we went through, did all the tagging of their ads, and then we went through and did all the tagging of the insights that were coming in. And all of a sudden it was like very clear. You guys need to swap over to this particular way of communicating your particular offer. And just like overnight, they had 2 ads that were taking off. He came back within a week and he was like, I don't know how you did it, but we haven't had ads hit in a long time. And he's like, Tether ad is taking over the entire ad spend in the ad account right now. So it's freaking fantastic. Yes. Okay. So wouldn't this be useful for new brands? 100%. If you're a brand new brand and you're just like, we don't even know where to start. We have our product, we have all of our shipping stuff set up, we have all of our, like, whatever it is, the whole system is set. We just don't know who we're going after. Oh, please come test the Tether OS for me. Because I can't tell you how easy it is to get messaging when you just pull in all these insights automatically and the system analyzes it for you and says, your entire market wants XYZ. Then you can go in and just start creating ads. They're going to work from day one. It also helps a lot because you don't have to create as many ads. Because I can't tell you how many brands I see that are just dumping creative, massive amounts into their ad account because they don't know either. They're very much like, we just aren't sure who we're talking to, how they want us to communicate this, where we need to go with it, like all kinds of stuff. Yes. So it looks like a great way to plan creative and avoid the pitfall of creative volume without the learnings. Colby, I love you. You are amazing. Yes. This is half the reason why I built it. It's just like, I don't want you guys to fall into the same exact holes that everybody else is falling into. I can't tell you how many big brands I work with these days. We're talking 9-figure brands that are just like, we don't know. We don't know who we're talking to. We don't know how to deal with this. So all we know how to do is just like dump more onto the pot. Even the big brands are starting to run into issues with this. And I'm starting to work with some of the bigger guys on developing this for their entire team because the one piece of creative strategy that's broken right now is insights. It's the only like manual side that we actually do in creative strategy. All of production, like headline generation, scripts, briefing, even down to like sourcing creators. Honestly, AI is doing almost all of it. Almost all of it. The only thing that's not automated yet is insights. And I'm just like, I'm so confused by this, which again, we're putting it into GPTs and we're trying to make sense of it a little bit. We're having chat do analysis, but I don't know if you guys have noticed this. My GPT will bring back the same exact thing every time. I can't tell you how many times I've run analysis in here and all of a sudden it's like, didn't you tell me this last week? Like, this is no different than it was. That obviously our avatars, our customers are changing because nothing's working in the ad account. Why are you bringing back the same thing? Yeah. Oh, I could talk about this all day long. Okay. What if we don't have any comments across our socials as we're a small service company? Yeah. Do we just gather insights from the general industry? This is such a great question. You don't have to have comments on your stuff. You can include that in the system. I can pull basically data from anywhere you'd like. So if you have post-purchase survey questions or answers, if you have emails, like customer service emails, those type of things, I can pull all of your data in. The system, though, goes out and takes a look at what the global, like, social conversation is. So how this works is we get a connection. Usually I start with Reddit because Reddit has like these super deep qualitative like threads that are just people talking about everything they hate in life. So we go to Reddit, make the connection with Reddit, and then it will analyze all of that down to one specific sentiment, right? It'll take a look at the whole thread and it'll be like, what's in here? What are people actually talking about? And then it will pull the insight in from there. So you do not have to have your own comments. You don't have to have your own reviews. You don't even have to start with any of your own data because we're going to go out and listen to what the internet is saying about their problems, about what they think, about the industry, about their beliefs. Yeah. That's a great question. You do. Yeah. You don't have to start with any of your own data if you don't have it. In fact, I would suggest you go and listen to the market first and then bring in all the rest of your data and make sure that they're matching up. So that's a really good question. Please keep driving this. If you guys have any more questions, keep going. One of the other things that we saw from testing this was really interesting. I had an agency do this for me. Darian, love this guy. He has taken this system and just like spider connected it to every piece of his agency, and I love it. So he was able to take it, TetherOS, and basically connect it to all of his Airtables, all of his briefs, everything that he was generating for his clients. And he came back and he was like, "You've saved me at least $5,000 a month, at least $5,000 a month." Based upon the fact that I don't have to hire another creative strategist. I don't have to like pay people to go out and gather data for us. I also like, we don't even analyze it anymore because the system is kind of pulling all these tags in for us. And we can just take a look at what the analysis cards basically look like and know this is what we should run today, tomorrow, the next day, next week. We have all of this data that we're just sitting on. And our problem is we can only see so much. Like our window is this big, but because the TetherOS analyzes it for us, we basically don't have to waste time anymore on that particular piece of it. So Darian was fantastic. I think he has like 2 or 3 different creative strategists underneath him. And the other thing that he was saying too was while he was going through the process of like getting TetherOS set up for all of his brands, I think he has like 8 different brands underneath him. The creative strategists were able to do client interfacing. So he was like, it used to be that I had to get involved in every conversation because I was kind of the master creative strategist and my brain was getting so tired because it was like, I have to tell my strategists what to strategize basically. And he goes, now I don't do anything. I just tell them like, go look in the OS this week, run the report real quick and then go tell our clients like, here's what the market is doing. So this is the direction we're going to go. So it's very empowering, I think, if your team, especially if you have a good sized people in there. If your team really struggles with understanding how to communicate some of these strategies that you're putting in place with your clients, now you have a tool that you can go back to and show them and say, here's the reports that are coming out of social listening, out of the TetherOS, that shows why we're doing this, what we're going to do next, and how it's going to benefit you as a brand. I can't get enough of stuff. Okay. Any other questions? Please drop them in. I am happy to answer anything. Please go ahead and scan this code. I have the, let me drop it in here one more time, actually. I have the booking link down here if you guys want to just check it out, see it, basically just book a demo with us to see how the internals of the system kind of work and really just to check and see if it's going to work for you and your brands. Like I said, this is the year that I think most of the brands that I work with are going to be moving towards systems that are going to try and focus on more production or better production. I think that's entirely the wrong way to go this year. Production is not the issue. If it was, everybody who's running volume right now would be doing really well. Production is not the issue. Insights, ideation, execution is the issue this year. This is the reason why I'm kind of obsessed with the TetherOS, because without good execution, we can't build good brands. Without good ads, we can't build good brands. And good ads are such a vague thing in this industry. It drives me absolutely crazy when I talk to brands and all they want to do is tell me, well, we just need to create better ads. And I'm like, you can't give me a quantifiable meaning though. What is a better ad? What does that mean exactly, right? To me, to say, and especially in my book, because I'm so obsessed with psychology, a better ad is one that's so emotionally aligned with the customer I'm trying to bring in that it can't help but bring in customers. It's almost like inevitable that this particular ad is going to work multiple ads at a time, right? I'm trying to create the best outcome, the most results for the least amount of work, especially in 2026, because we're about to go into the next era, right? We kind of morphed a ton, especially in the last like 50 to 100 years. The next era of marketing isn't going to be so much about like personalization. It's going to be more about participation. We are morphing into participation era for brands and for marketers and for people and for customers. People want to be involved in the process of the brands that they're actually involved with or purchasing from, right? So if we're moving into participation, that means that we have to know what people want to participate in. Do they, especially when it comes to advertising, because it's such a one-way kind of a wall, right? We just run the ad and hope to God that whoever's on the other side of the wall likes what we posted, right? Drives me absolutely crazy when we do this because I don't think people understand that like it doesn't have to be a wall, right? It could be a window if you really want it to be. And that's the reason why, Tag it, tag it, tag it. Get your systems, get your insights into one spot, tag them all with the emotions down in there. Start to generate better ideas based upon what's going on emotionally with your customers. Okay, I need to stop talking because I've been talking literally all day. Okay, any other questions? Please come find me. I'm at Sarah Levenger, basically anywhere that you consume content. I appreciate you spending, wow, 50 minutes. We went pretty far on this one today. Appreciate your time on a Friday. Hopefully this was interesting for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. If you need anything at all, please DM me. I'm totally happy to help. Todd as well. You guys want to book a call with him and just like check out systems, see if it'll work for you. Please do. Otherwise, have a lovely Friday, everybody. Oh, we had 200 people on this. This is amazing. I'm so glad you all came. This is so wonderful just to hang out with you guys and chat ads and psychology and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, I will see you guys next time. Have a lovely Friday. See ya.